A sniper entry, the dream entry for all traders. Yet one of the hardest things to do in trading. But doesn't it seem like some people end up getting those sniper entries way more often than others? Well, in this video, you'll learn exactly how traders get sniper entries and how you can also increase your likelihood of getting more sniper entries while you're trading. Let's go. Alright guys, welcome back to the video. So today we'll go all in depth on sniper entries, how exactly they're found, is it very likely that you can get sniper entries over and over and over, and ultimately what's the benefit behind even getting sniper entries in the first place. Well, let's just get started with what a sniper entry is, right? A sniper entry is an entry that a trader takes that is usually at the very beginning of a strong move. So ultimately the trader, being that they get this move towards the beginning of the move, they're also able to minimize the amount of risk that they're taking on the trade, thereby having a lower stop loss. This is what we call a sniper entry. Now, this may be very, very hard to pinpoint, and traders have used many tools to be able to try to pinpoint them. You could name them Fibonacci, MACD, RSI, etc. Many tools. However, there's a way to predict sniper entries just by using chart work, and that's what we're going to do today. Let's now check the charts to see how we would have gotten certain sniper entries right before they happen. Alright guys, so right now we are on Euro USD, and we're going to mark this up very clearly, and we're going to go down in detail so that we could see how we would have gotten certain sniper entries. Okay, so let's just mark this up and let's pick an area of interest that we want to check out how exactly we could have gotten that, right? So let's look at this particular area right over here. Some big moves happened in this area right over here, so let's check to see what was happening in this area over here. So what we want to do is mark off first certain important areas of support and resistance. Okay, so I'm going to start marking off important areas of support and resistance as I see them, just as so, and we're going to leave that just like that. All right, so certain key areas of support and resistance, just so that's clear to me. So moving on to the next, so going down to a lower time frame. So basically what I'm doing here, guys, what's really important to understand is that before you can even get down to a sniper entry, you do need to know how to do effective multiple time frame analysis. Okay, so we have to go from top down, right, starting with the daily and now moving down to the 4 hour. Okay, now at the 4 hour, I'm identifying this key area, right? So we see a key area. We had a impulsive move to the downside. We had this beautiful looking correction right over here, and then a continuation to the downside again. But before that continuation to the downside happened, right, specifically in this area, is there a way for me to have known that in this specific area right over here, is there a way for me to have gotten a sniper entry in that area right over there to maximize on the potential of this trade? That's what we're trying to figure out right now. Okay, so let's go down to lower time frames and see how much deeper we can go into catching this move, right? Going down to the 1 hour now. Now, the same things I've been doing on the higher time frames, I also want to do on the 1 hour, okay? I want to also find areas of support and resistance. So we could see that we had a little bit of resistance at the top of this flag or correction, however you want to phrase it. And from that correction area, we also had a couple of touches. So we had price come up here, come back to touch this area right over here, and then come down to touch this area a third time right over here. Okay, so as we are looking at price right over here now, if we are taking in the knowledge of the best way to enter a trade, usually one of the things I've said is the best way to enter a trade is at the end of a flag or correction, right? Taking that even further, if we are on a bearish trend, the best place to take a trade, if you're talking about sniper entries, is going to be the top of a correction. Whereas if you are on an upward trend, the best place to take a trade is going to be at the very bottom of a correction. Okay, so the very best place to take this trade would have been the very top of this correction over here, and you have supported confluence by seeing this area of resistance up here. So multiple touches. The first touch obviously you probably would not have known that this would have created the area of support. But by the second touch, and as price turned around, you clearly see that this is an area of support over here. By the third touch, this could have been an entry right at this area right over here. So this, from the 1 hour going down to the 1 hour, could have been a very, very great entry for our trade and could have gotten us a great result. But let's say you are a little uncomfortable taking that trade while it's still in that correction. Well, there is still a way to catch this trade right here in this highlighted area once it breaks that flag pattern, right? So let's go down to the lower time frame. So on the 30-minute time frame, again, what we'd have to do again is continue our findings of support and resistance in other patterns that are showing itself, but on a lower time frame. Okay, so remember guys, all of these patterns, they show themselves not only on higher time frames, they show themselves on lower time frames too, and you need to mark them up if you are trying to look for sniper entries. Okay, so as we look here, price comes off of this area, and we have to look at this area as a move down, an impulsive move down, a correction as well when you take this into account, and this would be the continuation, thereby allowing us to look at this potential area right over here as an area of interest for us to continue and take this trade. All right guys, so let's go down to the 15-minute and let's get more granular with this trade over here. Okay, so now as we get to the 15-minute, the key is we want to catch this during the breakout of this entire flag over here, right? So we have a flag on the higher time frame that's clear on the higher time frame, but we want to catch this at the breakout of the flag. So ideally, we probably want to catch it after this move has happened and past this yellow line over here. So coming off of this area, we see that price came off of this area due to a small area of resistance right over here, right? And what else, what other confirmations do we have? Let me just remove some of this real quick. Let's look at some other confirmations that we had, guys. So we had multiple touches again at this area of resistance, 1, 2, and then a final touch right over here before price actually came back down. Okay, so as price is on its way down, guess what it does? It breaks this area, this channel area, right? Or in other words, this correction or this retest, it breaks it and then comes back and retest that area, right? And that retest is key. Looking for that retest on a lower time frame will be the difference between you being able to get a sniper entry or you just seeing this on a higher time frame and just seeing one big candle to the downside. You may not see these intricate details on a higher time frame. For example, we're going to create this ellipse right over here, and let's see on a higher time frame, 1 hour or even 4 hour, what we would have saw to be able to catch this move. If we go to the 4 hour and we go to that particular ellipse over there, right? If we go to that last ellipse that we created, is right over here, and we honestly don't see much going on. There's nothing going on here for us to tell that this is a possible area that we should be entering this trade. We ultimately, from the 4 hour, don't necessarily know if this is going to completely break out yet either. All right, so that being said, there's so much value in going down to the lower time frames like the 15-minute, and I'd even challenge you to go down even down to the 5-minute, because the 5-minute will give you even more detail on how to catch this move as early as possible. So on the 5-minute, again, check this out, same things that we are doing here, no different. We saw that on the 15-minute, this was a breakout, it broke the correction, it retested back to the correction, but now let's look on the 5-minute, extra confirmation again, you had another push to the downside, a correction right over here coming from this area, and that is where we could have taken our entry right inside the ellipse, right? So this is still the same area as the 15-minute, just a little bit more detail when you talk about the 5-minute, and we would have gotten started on our sell. Okay, so that is, ladies and gentlemen, how you take a sniper entry. You have to break things down going from the top, right? Top down analysis, going from the very top, from the weekly, the daily, etc., and going all the way down to the 15-minute and 5-minute. So let's just say we take our entry over here. The last thing we want to do is be able to determine where exactly we necessarily set our TPs and our stop losses. So our stop losses it's okay and appropriate to set our stop losses based on the lower time frames, the 15-minute and the 5-minute, because ultimately that's why we are breaking things down that way, right? So that we can have a tight of a stop loss as possible. So because this is such a low time frame, the 5-minute, it's okay for me to put my stop loss somewhere that's pretty safe. For example, above this area of resistance right over here. It's completely fine for me to put my stop loss there, because if I calculate my stop loss, as you can see right over here, is only 16.4 pips. If I want, I could extend this just a little bit more just to be safe, but this is a pretty good area where I see price has multiple areas of resistance where it may not get to this area if I'm correct on this downward prediction. All right. Now, as far as the TP, I want to look on higher time frames for my TP. Okay, so as I go to higher time frames, I'm looking for what particular area that I should be putting my TP at. Okay, so let's look over here based on what we see to the left, because let's just imagine we don't see what's developing to the right yet, right? If we're just looking at what's going on to the left, we know that we are in this big correction. Let's at least ride this down to the bottom of the correction. Okay, so the bottom of the correction is right over here. It starts from here, extends all the way across. Let's say we make that our TP. All right, so let's take that buy signal and let's extend it all the way to the bottom of the correction. I'll have to go get it on a lower time frame because it's so small. But let's extend this all the way down to that green box, and let's see ultimately what we get as this trade plays out. Ultimately, this trade, it takes some time to play out, but ultimately it does play out and get to our TP, and our TP would have given us 48 pips. Okay, so about 17 pips for the stop loss, 48 pips for the TP, just about a 1 to 3 type of trade. This is the most ideal trade over here when we're talking about being able to take a sniper entry. So guys, sniper entries are very, very possible to come by, and they're possible to come by pretty often. However, it's very important to know that you're not always going to get a sniper entry. Many times you may enter this trade and it's just simply not ready yet, and you may have to re-enter a couple of times. And that's just the nature of looking for a sniper entry. Sometimes the trade is just not necessarily ready yet, especially because you're dealing with the lower time frame. But ultimately, if you're marking up your charts just like this and you're understanding technical analysis from a high time frame all the way to a low time frame, ultimately multiple time frame analysis, you'll start to understand and get better at this, and you'll start to see that your entries get so much better over time. All right guys, so if you are interested in improving your trading, you definitely want to get more granular in your technical analysis so that you can get those sniper entries and those tight stop losses, ultimately limiting your risks, guys. So I ask that each and every one of you practice this, because watching it is one thing, but practicing it is a whole different scenario. And then trading it in the live environment is a whole nother level from that. So it'll take time, but you have to put in the work, and eventually you'll see your trading get so much better. All right, guys. So I hope you guys gained value in this video. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. I truly appreciate it. And until next time, guys, peace.